A very good afternoon to one and all present here today. I am Vinay Prakash from MedPiper, and I'm here to welcome each and every one of you present today, including our distinguished speaker, Dr. Jaideep Rayapudi, who has graciously agreed to lead the first webinar in the series on embracing technology in healthcare. Dr. Jaideep will elaborate more about setting up a telemedicine practice for medical practitioner and highlight crucial aspects that are necessary for every doctor in order to help them establish a good practice. In order to set some context to the webinar, I will start off by introducing you to MedPiper technologies and highlighting a bit of our objectives and briefly explain the flow of events. Some of you present here today might be aware of MedPiper and the work that we do. But to those who are new, MedPiper is a health tech company that uses technology to connect doctors and healthcare professionals with hospitals and healthcare organizations for duty vacancies, clinical assignments, and partnerships. Our platform helps doctors with resources to enhance their professional skills and network with fellow peers in the medical field. Our objective is to explore and grant access to as many opportunities as possible for practitioners and given the current popularity in telemedicine, we thought it would be a great opportunity to speak about the subjects, include the experiences of learned individuals with the requisite knowledge in this space, and at the same time strengthen telemedicine channels within MedPiper for the benefit of doctors within our network. With that, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Jaideep Rayapudi. Dr. Jaideep is a healthcare technology thought leader and consultant with over 20 years experience. His experience includes working with renowned medical institutions like the Pondicherry Institute of Medical Sciences, CMC Ludhiana, Trichy SRM Medical College Hospital and Research Center. He has also served as the Director of Health Services for HelpAge India. Despite his illustrious career encompassing over 20 years, Dr. Jaideep continues to be an avid learner and is an aspiring neurophysiologist. He is also dedicated to bridging technology education and health into healthcare, and by principle believes in challenging the status quo in addressing challenges to healthcare. Thank you for joining us today for this session and leading the session, Dr. Jaideep. And just before I hand over the screen time to you, I would like to ask the audience present here today to drop questions into the question chat box here, and we will accommodate them during the course of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay, for your very gracious introduction, and thank you once again, MedPiper, for this opportunity for us to come together to discuss these topics. So just before I go ahead, I just would like a thumbs up if all of you can hear me clearly and you can see my screen, see me. Yes, audio is good? Yes, excellent. Right. Thank you so much. And now let me just just share screen with you. I have some slides. We'll try to pace it according to your comfort. And at any point, you're most welcome to put in your questions, answers in the Q&A box or even in the chat. And we have our moderators who will help us. So thank you very much for that. So let me go on to the screen share. Yes, that's right. Good. Let me also. Right. So to start off, thank you once again. This program brought by MedPiper is indeed a very great opportunity for all of us to get together and discuss very important topics which are pertaining to this particular day. So to introduce myself, I am Jaideep Rayapudi, and more in the coming slides. So this is the topic for the day: setting up telemedicine practice, and how we are going to actually embrace technology in healthcare. And this has been my passion. And to introduce myself, like Vinay said, I only can aspire to be a cognitive neurophysiologist because there is so much to learn. The more you learn, the more you realize that there's so much left for us to learn. And my passion has been in the past more than 25 years from a medical student to bring together technology, education, and healthcare, because I believe that our patients and our community deserves the best of technology. And as primarily as a medical educator, I need to bring that into medical education and into healthcare so that I am able to build the healthcare human resources or 2050. So that's my power of vision. And by remaining in the status quo, we don't move anywhere. So that's another thing which I like to do, to challenge the status quo and to find newer boundaries to cross. And in all this, we find that health can be transformed by using digital technologies. And for that, yes, I step out and I work now as a healthcare technology consultant in a brand new enterprise called Kern Care, and more about it in the next slide. So Kern Care, we are a small startup company. Our strength is in consulting, management consulting, as well as healthcare consulting. And we also mentor individual people trying to identify their own space in this world in terms of profession as well as career. And in this, the passion towards healthcare has made us look towards wearable technology and more of that in the coming times. So we work with the hardware of healthcare as well as the software related to healthcare, which is where we bring telemedicine into. So we will have, we do have a full kind of stack of softwares and solutions available for telemedicine, and we also work with multiple solutions for entire digital transformation of healthcare organizations. So that's very brief about the lot of work that we do here at Kern Care. So coming to today's talk. Today's talk, we want to discuss what is telemedicine, what is digital health. Are they the same? Let's see where to that. How do we start the telemedicine journey? That's the question I think many of you will be having. And where next? What is going to happen in the future? What are some of the disadvantages? What are some of the advantages of doing this? And again, many people have said that they want to know what are the legal, ethical, commercial, professional issues of doing telemedicine. So let's get on with it. This is The Doctor. It's a very famous painting, 1891, and this depicts the story of medical profession in its entirety. I don't know if it's very clear to you, but behind the doctor and the sick child lying just on two chairs is a very distraught mother and a father in the background who just cannot do anything. They're just waiting. And the doctor's full attention, being in absolute close proximity, is on the patient. So the doctor-patient relationship, and the doctor it's just, just one light, one small lamp, maybe a kerosene lamp throwing very slanted light onto the patient, and the doctor is trying to observe something. What can be done? This water and the bowl probably gives an indication that maybe this child has high fever and they're trying to cool the body down. This is the relationship between the doctor and the patient, with which we are all very, very familiar, and both as a patient and as practicing. This is what we have been taught all our lives as medical students, as doctors, that this is the doctor-patient relationship. But no more. No more do we have this luxury of literally being next to the patient. No more luxury of actually a doctor going to a patient's home. We have got some issues which have come up. We have some tools which have come up which enable us, where the doctor and the patient interact, yes, very deeply once again, very intimately once again, but then again, it's something which is very different. We are now not surrounded by the patient's relatives, and their own ecosystem in their home, but we are surrounded by digital data. Does that really help? Is it better than the previous? That is something which we are going to see. So telemedicine, why now? Why are we talking about telemedicine today? Why 2021? Suddenly we are talking about telemedicine. So there are two things which are going on. There are a lot of external pressures and there are advances in technology. Yes, technology has advanced to such a level that we are able to replicate as much as possible as a face-to-face talk. So for example, this kind of a session that we are having normally would mean now I can see that there are 69 participants. That means a large classroom, and I would be standing on a podium in front of a huge lecture hall, and I would be giving this talk, and you would all be writing notes or dozing off in the back seat, your choice. But today we have this technology. I'm sitting in my home office, all of you are sitting in your own places, and we are actually able to have one-on-one interaction. Depending on the device that you have a better clarity of the kind of imaging and the kind of graphics that I'm able to display. So they're having great advances in technology. External pressures are there. We do not have time. We do not have the logistics. We really need to go places very quickly. But the biggest external pressure which has happened since last year is a global pandemic. The coronavirus has taken its toll. It's been very bad. But at the same time, the coronavirus has made us think about the future, has made us use a lot of techniques, technologies, which we would not have imagined to use for the next maybe 10 or 20 years. So I feel coronavirus has done a lot of good. Sorry, but in some ways, in some fields, that it has been able to advance a lot of things from the future into today, and we are able to talk about telemedicine today. I do have data for it. If you go to Google Trends, and in Google Trends, if you search for these keywords in the last 5 years, I took the data for India for the past 5 years. How have people been searching for the term telemedicine here in the blue line, and online doctor in the red, and a very common search called doctor near me. Now, while the doctor near me search has been expanding all the way from somewhere around 2017, it has been increasing. You can see that there's a sharp decline at the same time that there's a sharp increase in the search for online doctor. And this is much more evident in this global data, Google Trends for the worldwide search figures, where you can see that in the at the time when the global pandemic struck last year, sometime around this will be around February, March of 2020, that we have seen a spike in the searches for teleconsultation, for telemedicine, and for online doctors, coinciding with a great dip in doctor near me. So people are really not wanting to go to doctors near them. So this has been the trend. This gives an indication. We really do not have better statistics than this as of today. So let's go on with what is telemedicine. So I'm here to talk about some of the fundamentals of telemedicine, and probably some of you may be fully uninitiated. I'm not sure. Some of you are trying to set up telemedicine. Some of you are quite maybe advanced in terms of the use. But I have kept one particular focus group in my mind, and that would be somebody who's a single GP or a general practitioner or a small hospital who are trying to set up. So let's get on with some definitions. So what is telemedicine? Telemedicine is the delivery of healthcare services using technology, okay, where distance is a critical factor. There's a distance, and my pointer. There's a distance between the patient and the doctor, and it is the delivery of these healthcare services by all healthcare professionals and using information communication technologies, where there's an exchange of valid information for both the diagnosis, for the treatment, and for the prevention of diseases, as well as for research and evaluation and continued education of both healthcare providers and in advancing the health of individuals and communities. So this is a very comprehensive definition, which I did not make it up. This is the definition given by the WHO, completely adopted by the Medical Council of India, which is now the National Medical Council. And this is the definition that they have given. The delivery of healthcare services where distance is a critical factor by all types of healthcare professionals using ICT and for diagnosis, treatment, prevention, research, education, and advancing the health of individuals and community. There is another word which is used, that is telehealth. So the telehealth is delivery and facilitation of health and services, including care, which we talked about in telemedicine, as well as provider patient education, health information services, and self-care via telecommunications and digital telecommunications. So what is this telehealth or digital health? We very commonly we use all these words interchangeably, but there are certain definitions, and we will be seeing their use case scenarios also soon. So when we talk about digital health, the first big name which always comes is AI, artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence feeds on big data, and big data coming from e-health, EHRs, from various monitoring devices. Now, these we will talk in bits and pieces. When we talk about telemedicine, all of these things come together, and we will see that though they are their own big fields in terms of technology, they all come under digital health. So another main great technology is blockchain technology, and blockchain technology is something which is very synonymous with Bitcoin cryptocurrency, and that really does not give great confidence to people nowadays. But still, blockchain technology has great use in healthcare. I'll be talking about that also. Digital health also includes smart devices, virtual clinical trials. One of the components of digital health also happens to be telemedicine. And of course, 3D printing is there. Amazing 3D printing applications in terms of bioprinting new organs or prostheses as definitions as of now. So if we go on to historical background for telemedicine, anywhere, if you go to the actual definition of telemedicine, they say where distance is involved, healthcare is involved, that is telemedicine. So yes, even sending smoke signals across the mountains, and maybe just sending the information from one physician to another physician just by a messaging service or by writing, all that will constitute telemedicine. Of course, we have come a long way in the past few decades itself. Like this equipment which is here, one equipment, this is made by the Kaiser Permanente group. They have like a low resolution video phone. This is, mind you, this is before smartphones, somewhere in the 80s, 70s and 80s, an electronic stethoscope, digital blood pressure machine, and the patient keeps this whole big machine at home, and they have to put it up, and the doctor will be connecting it. And they used to have some very complicated telecommunication networks to enable this. But now we have this, what we are doing today, a simple face-to-face call, and many of us have experienced this. And we don't need such a huge equipment these days. We just need a very small patch like this one by Viva Link, a small patch, just attach it to the chest. It will give you your multiple parameters for every organ in your chest, that is your lungs and your heart. So your ECG and your oxygen oxygenation, everything, respiratory rate, everything goes directly into the doctor's thing. So we have come a far way, and we can say that the future of yesterday, or what we used to think was the future, for example, this machine which we used to see in the old, I don't know what is your age group, but long time ago, not very long time ago, we used to have this serial called Star Trek, and this is not the doctor, but Mr. Spock is carrying here the tricorder. The tricorder, if you put it near any of the starship people, it will give all kind of health details. But this tricorder is a reality today. So what the yesterday thought was the future is today's reality. But who knows what we think of in the future might just become real. So history and the future, the past and the present and the future, is all up to us to make. So is telemedicine for you? If you're starting fresh, is it for you? Are you really going to start off on your medical career, or are you just going to leave everything else and start fresh with telemedicine? Are you just going to convert your existing facility totally from a physical facility to a telemedicine facility, or are you going to augment your services? Something which many hospitals and practitioners are doing right now because of the pandemic. So why telemedicine? Why telemedicine? Because cost, control, consistency, connectivity, convenience. It's amazing when you put in telemedicine. The costs fall down because you don't have to have the upkeep of a huge brick and mortar complex. You totally remove all the transportation costs. So many of the logistical costs come down with telemedicine. You have a better control on your ecosystem, on your timing. You are able to consistently deliver the same quality of care to your patients because of telemedicine. Your connectivity is better. You don't have to wait for an appointment time. You are able to connect, you're able to send reports or send messages to your patient. Your patient is able to connect with you sometimes it is inconvenient, but people can connect with you at any time. And yes, the convenience of doing it all from your home and from their home, that is absolutely great. So telemedicine has so many great benefits to you. I have to do this. There are a lot of regulations and a lot of definitions which we have, and I'm so grateful that last year this happened, because till May 14, 2020, everybody was talking about telemedicine, but nobody could say what we could do and what we could not do. So it was really great that finally the NMC and the ministry, they were able to put together what has been going on. The talk has been going on for many years, but they actually put it together. It was published in the Gazette under the IMC amendment regulations of 2020. And I'll share this document with you. Please go through this. It is a must. You must read these regulations, but let me share some of the gist with you in this. So we remove all the gray areas and doubts, and with these notifications, we have things which are very clear. So the Medical Council of India, now National Medical Council, it was made by MCI, so I have to give them the credit. They published in the Gazette, and what they said was the classification of telemedicine, how they are going to do. So they classified telemedicine in 4 different parameters according to the mode of communication, according to the timing of the information, the purpose of the consultation, and the interaction between the individuals involved, who are the individuals who are interacting, right? So these are some of the areas in which they classified. So the first one is the mode. So they classified that telemedicine can be done by video, like this, how we are talking face to face, or by audio, just by using your telephone or any of the voice over IP apps, or by text. These are again very basic definitions. Since it's found in the rule book, I have to tell you, and that's how it is. So according to the timing telemedicine, they also classified as real time. Real time is this: you and I talking together. Asynchronous is, again, suppose you send me a request by email or by text, and I reply to you after 1 hour or 1 day or some other later time. That is asynchronous, and that is another way of timing. What is the purpose of the teleconsultation? Is it a non-emergency consultation or an emergency consultation? In non-emergency, whether it is the first time you're meeting or whether it's just a follow-up consultation. So again, this is another very important consideration which the regulations have picked up. Who are the individuals who are involved? They said the patient can talk to the RMP or the registered medical practitioners, or the caregiver of the patient. So if it's a child, maybe the mother or the father will talk to the resident, to the RMP, or between the RMP and RMP, or a health worker like a nurse or an ASHA worker who is actually taking the consult of the RMP. Now, this definition of RMP is also very important because these rules apply to RMPs. That's it. So irrespective of anything else, it's a registered medical practitioners, which if you are registered and enrolled in any of the state medical registers or the Indian medical register under the IMC, means you are an MBBS or an Indian medical graduate, IMG as they call it now. So these are rules which apply to the IMGs, to the Indian medical graduates, to only MBBS. So when I say about telemedicine, practice of telemedicine, this is solely for MBBS graduates who have license to practice in India. So let me be very clear about it. I mean, if you are not an MBBS, please don't leave the meeting, because there's a lot more coming for that also. The MBBS people definitely have legal binding and ethical binding of this notification on them. So please pay attention to that. So again, some more classifications and some more types. So one type of telemedicine is what we can call as a store and forward telemedicine. Another type is a remote patient monitoring. Another type is a real-time telemedicine. Sorry. So again, real-time is this live video or a phone call. You get a call from a patient, doctor, what I can do. That is, these are all the real-time. Forward application is store and forward is something what we can do by email. So you write down all your problems, you collect all your images, you want to put it down on email or on some kind of web form, and you send it across. That is called a store and forward one. The other kind of telemedicine, which is also very common and popular, is remote patient monitoring. So you have these eICUs. A patient is connected to a machine, and very passively, not actively, the data comes from the patient to the doctor, and you're having a look at it. So that is, again, remote patient monitoring. Another very different kind of a set of telehealth, I will not call it telemedicine here, are medical information websites. I put WebMD here because this comes up first on Google, but this is what, the doctor Google, which all patients visit. They get the information from the web. These are the medical information websites. So these come in the form of websites or even very personalized mobile apps. All of you must be familiar with that, where you have your own health data stored, and different companies have got different apps ready for that. And Arogya Setu is like one such example, where you're connected to the internet, and the app is pushing notifications, giving text alerts, even even I will say the moment you dial any any phone, you will hear, please get vaccinated. The new year has brought Nai Asha Ki Kiran with the Naya vaccine, and all that messages, all that will come under telehealth technologies, actually. So you are using telecommunication technologies to promote wealth. So all that will come under telehealth technologies. So to summarize this whole concept of digital health and telemedicine. So telemedicine is very specific. It's about collecting, storage, exchange of medical data. It is about remote diagnostics. It's about interactive services, and it's about e-pharmacy. It's about integrating health systems. So actual clinical care is being delivered. But when you talk about digital health, it is like 3D modeling, libraries, giving education to the patient, uh, development of new drugs and vaccines, like an amazing how most of the new drugs or vaccines have been developed by modeling, electronic health records in the hospital, medical imaging, PACS, all that will come under billing, finance, analysis, all that comes under digital health. So I'll quickly move on. We have a lot to cover. So I will say that when you deliver telemedicine, you can do that in 3 phases of the patient's or the journey of the health and disease. So the first is the promotion of health. So you provide telemedicine and the digitally enhanced digital healthcare to promote health, and this is very important. See, always you make sure that people are healthy. Then very specifically, you prevent diseases. Prevention is always better than cure, and we have now technologies which we will talk about soon, where we are able to gather data which will help us to prevent heart disease, or prevent the morbidity associated with diabetes. These are all technologies which are there to prevent. Finally, when the person has already got the disease, there we will see the actual teleconsultation happening, which will end up with having a prescription. And maybe the next stage would be to have a follow-up and rehabilitation. So where do you see yourself in these 3? In promotion, prevention, or prescription? Again, something for you to think about. Then we see the different levels of engagement that you can have with the patient. Okay, so is it just basic voice-based or internet-based? Do you get assistance from an algorithm with some instruments, variables, or do you use the full stack of whatever? So let's just get into the detail of that. So when Alexander Graham Bell said that, the day will come when man at the telephone will be able to actually see, I am amazed at the vision, because today we do speak on voice, but most of our calls are face-to-face calls. So whether it's WhatsApp video or whatever, but basic level of teleconsultation is using just a voice. We talk, you get a call from a patient, I'm having such and such a problem. What you do, that is the voice base. The next is when you actually use a higher level of technology, when we actually add video and WhatsApp video, commonest one, absolutely a huge thing in India. Facebook Messenger, I don't know, but I have to put it because these are there. Somehow technically Zoom comes much later, but Zoom and Google and even Facebook, Microsoft Teams, all of these have been given the mandate actually by like the FDA in the US to make sure that their video conferencing facilities are all HIPAA compliant, and that the security is very well maintained. So you use internet-based technologies to have a face-to-face video call. Next would be to actually use a assistant to help. So one of the most popular and really good app is called ADA, ADA, And ADA is a small app which you can put in your mobile phone. And as you feed the data on your symptoms, it will help a patient, specifically for patients, to narrow down on what kind of diagnosis that you're looking at. So it will help the patient to maybe get appropriate help in from that particular specialist. Okay, so there are a lot of AI-based algorithms which are available, and we will share the links with you after this. But one of the really new one, and I see quite a lot of promise in this, is something called Kahun. This came out probably a week or two ago. I noticed it, and here this is specifically for the use by doctors. So as a doctor, you can enter. It's just a screenshot you cannot see below, but I have entered. These are some of the symptoms. When I say a patient is having, use the gender and the age and put the chief complaint, or the chief complaint. The rest of the things it is prompting. What is the duration of symptoms? What is the severity, the radiation? The same kind of algorithm which we follow in our regular day-to-day practice. And end of this questionnaire, you reach possible diagnosis which you can work with. So this is the algorithms, but the algorithms need data. So the data has to come from variables. So these are some of the variables and some of the options which our company Concave provides. So not this the Apple Watch, but we have like medical grade variables. Like this is the this machine, the cardia machine, and let me just go on to the next one. Yeah. So when you have this, the cardia, it's a small machine like this, and just by holding both the sides, you are able to get an ECG on your mobile phone. It gives 6 lead ECGs, works great if you have any rhythm abnormalities. And so this data again transmits directly to the doctor. So from ECG onwards to rather non-life-threatening, like temperature trackers, period trackers, different other pedometers, all these can give great data from the patient, and it can be pushed to the doctor. But what really takes the cake, this is another new company which has come up called TytoCare. And if you go to their website, tytocare.com, you can see that it comes with a great new kit, and it includes like a stethoscope and an otoscope and like even a tongue depressor. And when attached to this machine through your phone, you're able to directly examine a patient even by even at a distance. So a lot of new stuff is coming up. These are just some of the things which are there in the market, and in the coming days we'll see the demand has to be generated from us, from the doctor community. So to get the whole picture, you have to have all kind of data to come together. From the variables, you need to have electronic medical records, and you need to put all these medical opinion together, and then you get a whole picture. And then at a full level, starting from a simple voice call over a landline, you get a full stack home-based or a distance-based telemedicine solution. So either you can have it at home, or you can bring the whole services by a van to the home and get it started. It can be ambulatory home services, mainly because we want social distancing to take place at this time. And in this way, we are able to reduce the doctor-patient face-to-face interaction times. All right. So I will take a sip of water. If you have any questions till now, Sagarika, how are we going?
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. We have actually a few questions here. First question.
Just 1 second, sorry.
Yes, yes,
Doctor,
yes.
I'm glad you actually spoke about Kahun as well. And then I just wanted to also say that MedPiper's tech team has also painstakingly developed a tool called mScribe. So it's a prescription tool primarily driven for Indian patients and doctors. So what's another crucial aspect of it is that we have also included the list of drugs and the schedules that would be useful for doctors to easily prescribe medications, and also included the generic terms for them. So yeah, this is something that I thought that I'll probably mention as well, but happy to talk as well.
Yes, thanks, Vinay. I mean, I think the prescription software would come in a later slide, but thanks for that and sharing that information as well. So, should we just go on, or do you want to take a pause?
No, I think we have some questions, doctor.
Related to this section, I think I'll be happy to answer them. So that.
Yeah, one question came about from Dr. Bhargavi. She's asking, I have seen recently in a government release notification that for teleconsultation, a doctor should have done 6-month course in teleconsultation to practice it. Is there any such?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This is the part of the notification says that it's not a 6 months course. They have not mentioned any duration for that in the document right now. They said a course will be there, but that will apply. It will be enforced only from 2023 after 3 years, right? So in the meanwhile, they said the MCI should enable training course. They should form a training course and make sure that all those who want to practice telemedicine after, I think, 2023 will need to have undergone that course. So not right now. Right now, it's I will not say free for all. The regular regulations do apply, but the course part of it will be definitely there in the next 2 years.
Thank you, Doctor. Next question from Ms. Rajni Rupam. Doctor is asking, do you think the popularity of telemedicine in India will be same after COVID?
Yes, it will not be the same, but it might actually increase. Because this, again, personally, this is my personal opinion. The COVID is providing us what we call a sandbox to experiment all these things, and we are able to experiment. People have seen this is useful, so it will continue. Yes.
Okay, then I think you can continue with that. The next questions will come after your slides, because these are topics I think, I believe that you are going to cover next.
I'm going to cover them soon.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, Doctor, I think there's also some interest from the dentistry to fraternity as well.
Yes.
So I think you'll be able to.
I think I'll take that. I think Dr. Ashish is asking, what about teleconsulting for other fields too, like dentistry? Is this only for medical graduates? So, okay, I think I'll take it towards the end. Let me see.
Right.
I'll take it. I'll be covering this. Good. Okay. So let's just move on. There's a little bit more ground to cover. I know it's heavy stuff, but we are trying to be very, very comprehensive. So what kind of healthcare services are provided via telemedicine? So again, some more. So we can provide primary care, we can provide follow-up care, we can provide urgent care, and we can provide remote patient monitoring. Now, primary care, or the first consultation, which many of us, I think, are doing right now as part of, in the COVID, and and definitely follow up for chronic diseases, diabetes, hypertension, repeat medication. That will all come under the follow-up care. Urgent care, I'm having a terrible pain. Where should I go? What should I do? Then you say, okay, take this tablet and go to the hospital as soon as possible. That will all come under urgent care. Now we have to be very careful about urgent care and emergency care. So again, I will touch that soon. Which are the services which are provided by telemedicine? Psychiatry is doing very well with telemedicine, psychiatric services and counseling. Because you really don't need to touch the patient in psychiatry. So entire psychiatric services can be provided using telemedicine. Multiple specialists are there. I'll tell that in the next slide. And school-based school healthcare, you can do school health checkups. That way, you can say all office checkups, prison checkups, anything where the large community is there, you can finish off their healthcare by using telemedicine. Assisted living is very popular in the West. In India, we call them old age homes, but assisted living is definitely much more than that. But definitely in old age homes also, even in India, in geriatric care, telemedicine is very valuable. Then, of course, you can provide online only. Totally, you say, I don't have any kind of a physical presence. I only provide online medical services. So you really need to decide where you fall into this. Now, as far as specialists are concerned, telecardiology is there. I showed you like the ECG machine. With this, lot of things can be done. Lot of basic things, I'm saying. So dermatology, Google has totally taken over. Dermatology is easily done. I think 90% of cases can be sorted out just by telemedicine. Endocrinology, with you show your reports, get your follow-up medicines. Gastroenterology, hemato-oncology, a lot of infectious diseases, very important because you don't want to come in contact with patients. Telemedicine is very important. Nephrology, follow-up cases, people with the chronic kidney diseases, just, okay, I need, what drugs do I need to change? Yes, obstetrics, some amount of antenatal and definitely postnatal care, gynecological care, even pulmonology. Yes, it's a bit difficult, but you can take care of many patients, many of their issues from a distance, even urology for that matter. So it's about how you actually do it. So apart from that, you need support systems and support services. When you're doing telemedicine, you need to have some kind of a tie-up with the laboratories. Most labs nowadays in most places are able to come home and collect samples, blood, urine, sputum, whatever. You're able to do that. You can have tie-ups with imaging diagnostic centers for your X-rays and ultrasounds. You can have tie-ups with pharmacy, like what Vinay was telling, where you're able to generate e-prescriptions, and also other fields like maybe physiotherapy or a psychological counselor. All these can come under the different support systems which are there in telemedicine. Again, coming back to levels of engagement in a slightly different perspective, how we want to engage with patients. So one way to do telemedicine is just to enhance your face-to-face. So you're in the same clinic, but like for example here, this is my friend in London. He's an ophthalmologist. So he sits on one side of the window, and his patient is on the other side in the office with an iPad. He's with an iPhone. They just FaceTime. They do the whole entire history taking and all the chatting. And then the patient just comes in for a very small, like maybe 2 minutes, and he is able to do the slit lamp examination or whatever as an ophthalmologist and sends them away. So you don't want to spend a very long time with the patient face to face. You reduce the chance of infection in that. So very useful if you want to do the social distancing. And a lot of examples have been there, even in COVID wards with, just somebody taking a mobile phone or sending a iPad on a trolley to talk to patients. So that is another one, enhanced face-to-face telemedicine. Again, I said remote ICUs, using telemedicine to conduct remotely sleep studies. Just patient is tied up to the instrument and remotely you're monitoring the patient. But classically, teleconsultation or telemedicine is what most people would be interested. Again, here I would like to classify them into those within the country, those outside international teleconsultations. I have received calls from Africa, but again, there are a lot of issues which come up with that. So mainly legal, ethical issues. Even, can a doctor in Maharashtra talk to a patient in Karnataka? How does that work? So these are some of the issues which you really need to keep in mind. So coming back to our topic, setting up telemedicine things. So I'll go step by step. And where to start? The first step is, please decide. You have to decide what is that technology that you're going to use. What is your practice? What is your specialty? So you decide the type of telemedicine that you want to get into. At the same time, you have to see what are the type of patients that you're getting into. So is it just new patients, or will they be repeat patients? Only the COVID patients will get into telemedicine. So this is something which you really need to decide on. As with any project, please plan, please have a vision for what you're trying to do. Set smart goals. That's a whole different topic on smart goals. We can talk about it later, but have a goal for your project. Try to see what kind of technology that you're going to bring in. Is it just going to be voice, or just going to be Zoom, or it is going to be like all kind of devices, technology? Who will support you? Are you going to do it alone? Are you part of a larger group? Do you have any nurse to assist you? Do you have any office people to assist you? How are you going to reach out to people? How are people going to know that you're actually providing a service and that you're good at that? So how are you going to expand your services? Are you going to be limited to this? What if 20 people register for teleconsult with you with your limited amount of time? How are you going to reach out to that? So please make a note of these things and make a decision on that. What is your business model? What do you want to do it for charity? Anybody can call me anytime. I'll give them free advice. Nobody needs to pay me anything. If you're doing it commercially, if somebody is going to pay you, how are they going to pay you? What is the kind of tax system that you're going to have? How are you going to receive your monies? So what are your commercials? How are you going to share it with the rest of the people in your staff? So have a good business plan also. Like for any good practice, you must have some ground rules. How do you deal with issues? What are your SOPs, standard operating procedures? How much time are you going to spend with each patient? How do you begin a teleconsultation? I mean, that particular episode of a consult, how are you going to end it? How much time you're going to take? So this is a simple SOP which I have made. It's not simple, it's quite complicated, but this is an SOP which I feel I should be using. I will be using this. Is like, first they will come, they will, the data entry, everything is handled by the patient, I feel. Then they can go to an AI-enabled symptom checker like ADA. Then I can have my assistant do the history taking, everything with Kahun. And then we reach a preliminary diagnosis. Then we actually have the teleconsult where I am able to do a general examination. The patient can, all you have to do is, pull down your eyelids to check for pallor, or check for icterus, and show them the fingers and their hands. And or if they are not able to do it, maybe have somebody else, maybe the patient's relatives, to help them hold the camera while they're showing something. If they have to show their throat or something, how they're going to do. So with that, then, and physical examination helped by digital instruments, we calling it the digital examination, maybe by using small devices or an electronic stethoscope. So have a focused digital examination, reach a preliminary diagnosis, start some kind of primary care. You can tell them to get some over-the-counter drugs. If they are just having fever right now, get paracetamol, bring the fever down. Meanwhile, you can recommend them to get some lab investigations, maybe get an ultrasound done, get those reports directly maybe, or maybe the patient uploads them to you, reach a working diagnosis, start the treatment. If the treatment works, review the diagnosis. You think it's not working, how am I going to stop the treatment? How am I going to escalate it to an actual physical visit? No, I cannot do this just remotely. You need to come to me. How we are going to reach this? So this is a typical SOP which I have made. This is the SOP which again in the guidelines book which is there from the ministry for the first consult and for a follow-up consult, and they're very clear about that. Primary consult you cannot give certain medications. For a follow-up consult you can give certain different kind of medications. So this will be shared with you. Please go through this and see. You have to make your decision in that. So you have to decide again, as I said again, on the communication technologies. Is it just going to be telephone or internet? What kind of internet? High speed, broadband? You have to put your things into that. Storage of patient data, very, very critical issue. Is it going to be stored on the cloud, or is it going to be on your own server? What kind of finance models, what kind of finance technologies, how are you going to accept the payment? Is it Google Pay, Paytm, cash, NEFT, credit card? All these technologies have to be sorted out. And then you go about equipping your teleclinic. So get good internet. I would say you really need to get good internet to get most of the services. And just by 4G connection, is it good enough for your thing? Do you have enough data? Do you need a fiber connection at home? Get good internet, get good audio, get good camera, and have the software and the technologies to support you, right? So this is how you have to equip your teleclinic. But at the same time, when you connect with the patient, you have to give them some kind of training. You have to make them understand some of the drawbacks or limitations. How do you connect with the patient? You have to see, okay? Do you need to, can you advertise? Can you just put it on social media? Can you just put pamphlets in the newspaper? The guidelines say no, because it's unethical in India to actually directly advertise doctors, or what the word they use is solicit, patients. Not a good word, but that's what they say. So how do we go about actually telling people that I'm there for you, take my services? So how are you going to do that? That's something which you need to figure out among your circles. So what are your finance models? Are you going to be connected with insurance? Are you going to be connected, just taking the money from the patient, or is it part of some kind of what are the reimbursement systems that you're going to have? Once you establish that, and you establish the connection with the patient, you need to get the patient also ready for the teleconsult. So first thing that you really need to take care is that in case of an emergency, what are you going to do? So if somebody calls you and takes an appointment for a teleconsult, and they are sitting and clutching their left side of the chest and they're not able to breathe, you should be able to get help to them. Maybe you will be the person to call 108 and get an ambulance to their place, or tell the patient that, hey, you really need to go to this hospital. You have to be very clear about dealing with an emergency. You should have a plan for emergencies. Consent wise, if the patient is initiating the telemedicine, it is considered as an implied consent. But if you are going and approaching a patient, then you really need to take a proper informed consent. So in any case, I would suggest that you take a consent. So it could be electronic, maybe just have a form, they tick it and send it to you, or at least in a video, if you're able to record and say, the patient is saying, I consent Dr. So-and-so to go ahead with this teleconsultation. that should also be good enough. Get the patient ready for the technology. They should be able to use, whether if it is WhatsApp, they should be able to just see, how to put on the camera. If it is possible, tell them to get somebody to assist them during their teleconsultation. Like this lady is getting somebody to actually put this Taito stethoscope on her chest, and all that. So maybe ask them to keep a torch so that you can ask them to shine it in their mouth, check for the throat. These are common COVID consultations which we are getting, that I'm having sore throat. So if you want to check the throat, simple things like weighing machines, and of course complicated things like wearables. So get them interested in their, they have to participate. The patient and their attendants, they participate. So if even palpation, even the neurological examination, lot of things can be done by the patient and their assistant, and you can get a lot of information. So the idea is to gather as much information as possible from the patient to be able to reach our diagnosis. Are you going to have somebody to do your office work, do the data entry, what kind of diagnostic support you're going to have? And then you must have a network ready. You must have some place to refer people if there's an emergency, or if you need somebody to get a surgery, some kind of a procedure done. If somebody's been having hypertension, maybe they should get a TMT or a angiography done. So you need to have some network with them, network with the imaging labs and the pharmacy I've already said. So in going with that spirit of networking, this is a WhatsApp group I have formed. If you have a phone with a QR code scanner, you can scan this, and this is a group for all of us here. And meanwhile, we'll go into another small session of question answers next. So if you're able to scan this QR code, or maybe I can give you the link in the chat. Sagarika?
Yes, doctor. Thank you so much. So we have, I'm able to see a few more questions. One doctor has been asking, recently I have heard in legal dispute that judgment has been given that doctors are not supposed to communicate on WhatsApp. What is the status after these guidelines? What are the legal effect of inadequate management? Yeah.
I'll just get to the legal in a couple of slides more. So let's just, can I just keep it for later?
Yes, sure. And one more question is there from Dr. Ashwarya. She's asking, patients with mental and physical disabilities who are not able to explain themselves, how they are going to benefit with telemedicine. What's your take on this, sir?
Right. So this is absolutely. So it's not like you take a patient and ask them to go it alone. So it's usually like a family which can sit together as a group, and the caretaker or the attender or the relatives, they will have to sit with them and get it done. So it is not like any pediatric or a geriatric or any case, a mental person just does not, a person with schizophrenia never walks into a psychiatric OPD, right? So they're always taken by somebody. So the same thing applies to telemedicine also. And this will benefit them more because many times you're not able to shift a person. So there are like elderly people. It is practically impossible to move them out of house, right? And telemedicine is what provides them a relief, because some doctor is able to see in some way. So it is going to be great, Dr. Aishwarya. This is right. So legal, I'll come to later.
Yes, I have one more question for you, doctor. It's one attendee has been asking, individual doc likes to set up teleconsultation from home without any established clinic. PG completed just now. She or he has just completed the PG. Any documents and registrations needed other than medical degree? And is in this how to give invoice and all the fee structure to patient?
Right. So it's like setting up your own personal enterprise, right? So if you are setting up your own sort of a home-based clinic, this is exactly like that, except that you don't have a brick and mortar place with doors and windows and an assistant and somebody to do the cleaning and electricity and water bills. You just have your laptop and you. So if you want, you can register yourself as a company, as a clinic, and you are able to do it legally. You have to be registered in the in your respective state medical council to be able to practice medicine. So that applies to telemedicine as well. And regarding invoice, for that you have to have a commercial or a current thing. I don't think I have exactly the exact technical thing, but maybe I can we can I'll put up the details in the WhatsApp. So
Great.
so
Great.
if you really want to send out proper taxed invoices, we will do that definitely. So as far as I know, you can set up a company and you can do that, or you can always join hands with an established organization or a group. So something I think MedPiper will also be telling, where you are already there. It's already an established company is there, and you work through that. So the whole legality is worked out between that.
Great. One last question we have from Ms. Kritika. She's asking, will the prescription sent online as an image or scan be honored by the local chemist?
Yes, they have to be honored. So the prescriptions which are done as a scan, they have to be honored by the chemist. Other option is you can always order the drugs online. So you have plenty of online pharmacies which will which work only with scanned images.
Right. Okay, doctor, thank you. You can move on to the next slide.
So I'm going to quickly share a telemedicine journey. This is by my friend. He's a neuro-ophthalmologist in the US, and see the thought process. So a lot of your questions, I think, will be clarified by the thinking which has gone into this. So as I said, the step one is to have goals for your practice. So like, what are your goals? You want to reduce the risk for COVID-19 exposure. You want to provide treatment for those who are unable to travel. You want to reduce or eliminate costs. You want to preserve the clinical resources. And he is a professor, so he wants to also think about medical education. Then you must understand your practice, your own practice. You must understand, are you in the urban area, rural area? Are you going to do it totally remote, unconnected? What is your practice? Is it primary care? Are you a specialist? Are you a surgeon? Do you provide surgical care? Is it just clinic based or hospital based? How much is the new patients versus established patients? And in your clinical visit, how much time is spent in verbal communication and physical components? So many surgical means there will be more physical, lot more auscultation and palpation there. And so in that, what percentage of your patients need critical hands-on components? If you can't do it, can someone else perform these procedures? So when you answer these, now his answers, so he's very clear, like his practice is in urban, he is a specialist, he's a neuro-ophthalmologist, most of his patients are outpatients, he has few new patients, but mostly they are established patients coming up for follow-up. He also understands that his visit is mostly verbal. It's mostly because it's neuro and eye, it's mostly talking. And there are some procedures 50-50. And most of these procedures can be done by an assistant. Like most of ophthalmological procedures can be done by assistants. Logistics, you have to think about logistics. What kind of communication? Is it visual, verbal, textual? What do you have? What do the patients have? and or which of these fall under which kind of regulation. So that you must be very clear of regulation. How are you going to bill your consultation? Will insurance cover these bills? What kind of documentation you need? So like he said, he has all the types of communication. At least 60% of his patients have some kind of mode of communication. These are all falling under the regulations in US. He's going to bill these consultations, and he's going to make sure that the insurance covers these bills. And all of these fall under the regulations in US. Setup, you decide, are you going to just do it at home? One corner of your home, you start doing your telemedicine, or are you going to use your own office? Be very sure, at least have one kind of a visual like this and one verbal method ready. If you have somebody to assist, somebody to do your check-in, timing, follow-up, and make sure that you maintain a very professional, personal and workspace appearance. So it has to be very professional. Consent is something which is very important to be taken, and we must clearly inform, that televisit has its limitations. So additional information may be required. Maybe you need to come in so that I can examine you better, and that every visit is being billed or charged. No, that's in his case. And again, the assistant can check in with what kind of technology they're able to use. Important things: maintain the same professionalism that you would during an actual visit. So whatever you would do you cannot just come in like in a t-shirt. Whatever I'm not talking about dress code, but you have to be very professional and in your actual approach. So think of it like real, how we are going to do it. The history part, yes, by the video, maybe the assistant can just have a long chat, take down the history. A lot of examination can be done on the video visit. The patient's family can help. Like lot of neurological examination can be done by the patient's family. And the good thing about telemedicine is all of this is very well recorded. So if you have some other practitioner who has recorded all these examination findings, we just can use these other findings also. The important thing is innovate. This is a new field. It's open. Please use all that is possible. Be creative in your application in telemedicine. Okay, so in his experience, he found that neurological examination, a lot of cognition, cranial nerve examinations, motor examination, all this easily done by televisit. Most of his vision examination, all that also, even the pupillary examination can be done just by using the torchlight at the patient. The patient themselves can, or their assistants can help in doing that. So a lot of things can be done. You have to make decisions. How are you going to manage? Is it going to be urgent, emergency? If it is an emergency, how are you going to send them to emergency? If they really need to come in for a personal visit, please decide on that, counsel them, order some tests, prescribe whatever treatment is possible. Please check the list of treatments which are possible. You cannot prescribe all medicines over telemedicine or by e-prescription. Please check the list. The list is there in the guidelines, which we will share with you. Documentation is very important in all types of practice. In telemedicine, it is definitely so much more, because the physical element is missing. And take care of follow-ups. So start slow, nothing hurried. Get somebody to assist you, do the consents, document, and follow the plans. Okay, so at this point, whatever we have talked, now if you feel any advantages are there in telemedicine, I'll give you maybe another 30 seconds to put it in the chat box. I'm having a look at the chat box here, so please put what all advantages are there in for telemedicine. I'll take another sip of water in the meantime. Anybody typing in? Yeah, great. Yes, Dr. Kritika says it's convenience. Main advantage is to follow up in chronic disease. Thank you, Dr. Devashish. Excellent. Yes, it's very important for follow-up. You really don't need patients. They're chronically ill. They were really not going to change much of their prescription. Yes, for follow-up and the comfort is also there. Thank you, Anushya. Yes, cost-effective, easy follow-up, convenient comfort. Dr. Almas. And privacy of patient is also very important. Yes, we need some people would like discrete services. Some of the things which we are working in our company to provide discrete services, because not everybody would like to go and expose. Yes, Dr. Archana, very great to expand clientele geographically. I have got requests for medical help from Africa, Nepal, US, lot of places. So suddenly, you're there on the global scene. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. But when you talk about advantages, I would just like to say benefits. So yes, as a provider, you are not you're away from your work, from your regular work. Travel time is gone. There is, if you have other responsibilities, or you can take time to do that. Privacy is there, and of course, in today's date, the contagious patients, we are away. So something which is very important. Unfortunately, patient violence, all that also is avoided. These are some unfortunate, unique things which happen in India. But yes, telemedicine has the benefits in that for the provider. For the patients, from the patient's side, they are able to, get better value for money. They are not going to, for a 10-minute visit, they don't have to spend a whole day in a hospital. And they're able to, for follow-up, the health outcomes are better. And because it is all technologically helped, we are able to get reminders, call them up for, to help them attend their consults on time. So we don't really miss any appointments. And yes, so if the reimbursement works, that will be the great thing. So in this now, can somebody help me with saying what are the disadvantages? What do you say? What do you say are the disadvantages? So please put it in the chat box. What do you feel are the disadvantages of telemedicine? Expensive tools to set up. I don't know if you did a cost benefit analysis, but I think all of us have some kind of telecommunication device, which we are all using right now. A laptop and a phone is all that you need. But yes, physical examination is not missing, Dr. Ria, entirely. We can get across lot of things, but we need to be, we have to see. I'll see. And yes, emergency cases, Dr. Deeksha, it is not, it is difficult to handle, but in times, yes, we can actually refer them. If they are not able to access digital media, we cannot really help, Dr. Fatma. So yes, there are some people who we cannot do. Yes, Dr. Rajni, continuous pings from patients. They try to contact for each and every small thing. if you are giving teleconsultation on a personal basis. So that's why I say this has to be organized. This has to be absolutely organized. And if you just give them your phone number and say, call me anytime, that's not going to work. If you tell them that you're going to charge 100 rupees for every time you send a WhatsApp reply, I think the number of pings will decrease. Just off the record mark for that. So, but yes, you need to have that organized. Rekha Rajiv says areas where you need actual physical examination can be difficult. It is not just difficult, it is impossible, because however much, whether if there's somebody is having a mass and you want to determine whether it is soft, firm or hard, you would trust your own hands. But yes, maybe a internal examination, definitely not possible. So a lot of things are out of the thing. Multi-system disease, again, Dr. Debashish, is difficult. Yes, I agree to that. Old age people to access the same if they stay alone. Dr. Almas, yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, true. I agree with you. Patient comprehension, Rekha Rajiv, yes, sometimes difficult, but we have to work at it. Initial setup of practice and connections is complicated. I think I'm trying to reduce the complication. Palpation, I cannot do it, Dr. Anushya, but the patient can do. A lot of information can be done. We can trust them for that. So thank you. Security concerns, I'm going to address that, Kritika. Misusing our consultation, recording it unknowingly and sharing it. So that's another major ethical legal issue which will be there, Dr. Archana. And we really need to have some kind of technology to get over that. So what is the debate? Is it ethical to record? What to do? That you have to decide. So what is it that you don't want to record? Okay, fine. So a lot of things. Thank you. New doctor will not have access to previous history. You just have to ask. Okay, signatures. A lot of security issues. I'll be dealing with that. Thank you so much. Let me just finish this and get to the thing. So I don't call these disadvantages. I just call them barriers. So these barriers can be like mainly technology based. I'm going to go a bit fast, and different types of technology you have covered mostly, but what you talked about clinical science is this. This is the question which you really need to answer, that what is essential and what is desirable. So this you must decide in your practice, in your specialty, how you're going to deal with this. So this is something which you really need to do, and make sure of that. So yes, so this is the response I got from a pulmonologist, and they said no auscultation possible. Yes, but then what to do? There are some benefits which can be done. Right. So this is what it is till now. I'm going to have some more slides. So if you have not joined the WhatsApp group till now, you can use this QR code to join. And quickly, ethical issues many of you have raised. One is recording and misuse of your identity. These are some of the ethical issues. So I'll go through these slides. We can come back because a lot of questions are there on this. We will come back on that. The other thing that you must do is you must take feedback from patients. You must get a rating. This is very important. However strange it may seem, however it will look like as if you're rating your Uber driver or your Zomato delivery guy. But these are some things which are going to be very important in the coming days. You must take patient feedback about patient satisfaction and assessment. You have to assess them and they have to assess you also. Coming to the core legal issues, preferably, please, all medical practitioners should get an indemnity insurance, and that is applicable whether you're doing telemedicine or physical. Your data security is very important. Your platform which you're going to use, the data security must be absolutely assured. Similarly, the privacy of the data has to be assured, and you have to be aware of your your rights and the patient's rights in as far as the Consumer Protection Act concerned. Commercially, yes, you will fall under all the various commercial issues, and make sure that you pay your income tax and your GST as your chartered accountant will advise you. And have good professional networking. Make sure that you're able to refer to the correct specialists for procedures to be done, get the good diagnostics done. And what after all this, what after the, how are you going to rehabilitate also is something which you must see. So please have a look at these 3 websites. So all of them have this wonderful .care. So Amazon .care, wonderful initiative by Amazon for Amazon employees in the US. Just go and have a look at the video. Solve.care is something which another great initiative which uses blockchain to keep patient data secure. So a lot of your security issues are dealt when you're using the Solve.care platform. And they also use blockchain-based cryptocurrency for their payments. So this has been another company which I've been looking at. Kern.care is our company, and we also provide a lot of the services which many of you are looking at. So the way ahead, do your research, get into this, and I think we can take questions now. Sagarika,
thank you.
I think I crossed the time by 1 minute, so
no worries, no worries, doctor. I think the webinar is going really well, and everyone is enjoying, and they are learning a lot of things. So I have 2 very interesting questions here. I believe you have covered the topic, so I'll ask that now. From Dr. Pushparaj Anand, he is asking that, sir, I am second-year postgraduate student in internal medicine. I am eligible for teleconsultation as per MCI guidelines or not?
Yes, you're absolutely eligible for teleconsultation as per MCI guidelines, but you're a second-year PG student. Please get your guide's permission. Please get your college permission. Many colleges consider PGs as students very seriously. If you're very comfortable, if your people understand, please do that. Please go ahead and do teleconsultation if it is allowed legally within your organization, because as a PG student, you're part of an organization, you have rules to follow. So we are not, teleconsultation is not a provision for us to bypass any rules or to skip any rules. So yes, within the framework that is possible. As an internal medicine PG, I'm sure you will not have that much free time, so to speak, to be actually, you should be busy with your thesis and all. Sorry, as a ex-faculty, I have to say all this, but the simple answer is yes.
Okay, great. So hope that answers the question. Second question is equipment needed by doctor and patient, except for internet, to make a clear and viable and worthy consultation. The question is from Dr. Ashish.
Okay, except for internet, okay, equipment needed. So doctor, like I think we have right now what we are doing is very good for doing a telemedicine. So right now what I have is a laptop and a good internet connection, and I'm talking to all of you. I could be talking to individual persons also. I could also be just using my mobile phone and doing this Zoom call, and that will also help. From your side, equipment is that. From the patient side, if the patient is able to equip themselves with some device to check their blood pressure, most people nowadays are having a pulse oximeter. If they're able to get some ECG machine like this, or if they have a weighing machine, those equipment are also good enough. So you have to see, depending on the specialty or what is your scope of your practice.
Great. Thank you, doctor. I believe that answered the question. The third question I have for this part is, any costly investigation can be advised in teleconsultation, like MRI, CT scan?
See, if it is essential, please advise, right? So costly, expensive, these are again sometimes very relative words, right? Now, the way you have to perceive it is, if it was a real clinic, okay, would you advise them an MRI? What would you do with the diagnosis that is made, or the inference or the opinion of the radiologist? How will that affect your treatment? If you feel that will affect your treatment, please advise it. If the patient does not have money to do it, we'll try to find a different way to do that, right? So it's the same. There's really not much difference. Yes.
Yes,
Next.
sorry to interrupt one more time, but we are receiving a lot of questions from dentists, and
Okay,
they are
so
asking,
let's handle all the dental questions.
yeah, so one of the major question that is coming, what about teleconsulting for other fields too, like dentistry, as this is only for MBBS graduates? Also, what about the financial part? Do we see a standard rate and time duration of the consultation?
Okay, so let's go for dentistry. Now, the question Dr. Ashish has put is that as this is only for MBBS graduates, please
Right.
mind that the regulations are only for MBBS graduates. Most of the regulations which MCI takes out, the Dental Council of India also follows them, right? So if, but MCI does not mention dentistry in these regulations. Yes, there is no clear-cut directive saying that dentists cannot practice. But like I said, a dental practice is more physical in nature than verbal. So again, I have consulted with dentists on this question because we have received this question earlier. You can ask, where is the pain? What is the different types of pain? And at best, you can give amoxicillin and Hyphenac P. Beyond that, you really need to see the patient. So yes, you can alleviate pain. You can give an appointment for a dental patient, but really without examination, it is very difficult. So telemedicine, yes, you can do a very big part by immediate pain relief by teleconsultation. But again, because it's a very, you need to do the physical examination. You need to tap the tooth or wherever to localize the pain and to check whether they need a root canal treatment or an extraction or whatever. So it's a very physical. So tele-dentistry is one of the things which are, it's a big challenge, I mean, to put it like that. The other question, I think Dr. Ashish was asking about financial part, standard rate and time.
Yes,
There is no
yes, yes.
standard rate and time. You go to a psychiatrist, the minimum time is 1 hour. You go to a very busy cardiologist, he will finish you up in 2 minutes. So there is no standard rate. This is all up to you, depending on what kind of practice that you're trying to do.
So, Doctor, so we had another question in the chat box earlier with respect to misuse of prescription. So sometimes we do notice that there might be some instances where someone else might misuse a doctor's prescription that's already been prescribed via teleconsultation. So how do we counteract that, or how do we counter that? And I had a follow-up question to that, Doctor. So is it necessary for doctors to have their signature or name and or registration details on the prescription when they do
Yes.
when they give it out?
Absolutely. So the prescription that a doctor gives will need their full name, their medical council registration, and their signature, and of course the time and date, and the prescription. That goes for every paper prescription. When it comes to prescriptions based on telemedicine, you really have to follow some guidelines are there. There are some medications which are over the counter. You can do that. There is a list this one of the annexures in the telemedicine guidelines. There is a list of medicines which you can prescribe for first-time patients. There's a list of medicines which you can prescribe for follow-up patients. So, for example, if there's a diabetic person who is on metformin, you can change that metformin to glimepiride, some other thing, provided you have previously treated them, started their thing. Then there is a whole list of drugs which you cannot prescribe by telemedicine at all. So all your narcotics and everything comes under that. Okay. Now, where indemnity insurance comes is, there is a risk of anybody misusing any prescription at any time. That is there. But you have the legal binding that when you are giving a prescription to patient X, then patient X only has to take the medicine in the way that you have prescribed. So if patient X misuses it, then it's not your fault. So, but still, there have been a lot of cases, lot of legal issues have arisen because of that. Copy pasting somebody's signature, identity, difficult. We can always, there's a lot of fake things which are going on these days. So that is something which is beyond our control. So if somebody has misused my identity, if somebody takes this video of mine and changes some other words, put something else, these are some very difficult challenges which we are facing in general as society. Definitely as telemedicine, it will be great. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. So we can move forward to the next slide, and then again we can come back to
this is actually my last slide. I have covered all the topics. So we can sort of have people given the questions now. And
okay, great. So I'll definitely then move forward.
Yeah. So only thing is, if anybody wants to contact me, these are the various channels. And, so you can contact me personally if you join the WhatsApp group with the QR code here, or I can maybe paste the link once again in the chat. Then we can continue this discussion, though I'm happy to keep answering questions even now. So please go ahead.
Definitely, Doctor. Then I can.
I'll ask Sagarika to keep on asking. I will keep on asking.
Yes, definitely, Doctor. So Dr. Anushya is asking, tell us some trustable telemedicine app for consultation. Or is there any, and also Dr. Ashish has been asking that, is there any particular software to be used?
So there are softwares which are available. So for example, I have been I was telling you about Sol.care. So that is one place where you can come together. So I can share the link there. Our own company, Kern.care, is coming up with software pretty soon. Similarly, there are these apps which are there. I believe Practo is also providing some kind of software. So you just put it on Google, you'll get it. You have to check out a lot in terms of what works best for you and what works best for your patient, right? And will you really be doing justice to the patient in that? Okay, so that way you can do. If you have a steady list of patients, or you have already got a database of patients, you can just start growing. Start, like I said, voice calls, video calls. Then you go on to the softwares.
Yes. So there are, I believe, a lot of teleconsultation apps are already available in the market. One is Tata Health, then again Apollo 24/7, then again Sugar 7. A lot of other apps are also there,
and
especially
some mental health also you were mentioning earlier.
Right.
Yeah, so just
Right.
to add to what
was it?
Sagarika was mentioning, there are a few platforms, and given that MedPiper is dedicated to sort of like broaden the access stream for practitioners to take advantage of the telemedicine space, we are working in tandem with a lot of different platforms. So feel free to reach out to us if anyone is interested as well. I think Sagarika will talk a bit more about it as well.
Yes.
And just one more, I think since you mentioned about the broadening geographies and where telemedicine is pretty much, a global reach now. There's a question from Dr. Rajni, and then who's asking if there are any different protocols between different countries, and if they want to join a teleconsultation platform in another country, what are the protocols and how different is it?
Absolutely different. The US is a totally different ball game. If you want to do any consultation for patients in US, please be very careful. Read up all, even within the different states, the 50 different states of the US, they have got terribly different laws. And so please be very careful when dealing with US. You don't want to be sued in millions of dollars for any malpractice. Please be very careful with that. The medicines that we use in India are simple, like for fever, we use paracetamol, they use Tylenol, and the concept is the protocol is very different, right? So if you either get a release from the patient saying that if the patient is in US and you are in India and you want to help them, how are you what kind of prescription? You cannot just tell them, go get this antibiotic, because they cannot do that in the US, right? So I have really not heard of it, even though I'm working with some US based companies. Indians can take consultation from doctors in US, but US patients taking consultation from doctors in India is very rare. So that's going to be a bit difficult. Is that okay, Dr. Rajni? I mean, that's why I'm saying there's a lot of material to be covered for each of these questions. I will give a gist of it, but we can put it in the group later and have a discussion. So Dr. Selva Surya, I'll just take it up also because it's related to the same question. Can a doctor who registered in Tamil Nadu practice teleconsultation throughout India? Right now, as far as my information is there, Indian doctors are able to practice all across India. I will have to get a proper legal opinion before confirming that. But I think Tamil Nadu has a huge population ready, waiting for you, Dr. Selvasuri. So you just finish Tamil Nadu first. But yes, please don't hesitate in practicing. My information says yes, because if you're registered in India, you can practice. That is what is there.
I think we'll close the question answer session for now, Doctor. Thank you so much. I think I'll invite Sagarika to give the closing remarks as well. Over to you.
Thank you. And also, Doctor, I believe you had one slide to left that was to be closed.
Sorry,
I think it was the question and answers which you had asked earlier, Doctor. That was.
No. I'm asking if Doctor, did you have any more slides left?
No. This is my last slide. I just wanted to share. You can connect. People can connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter or WhatsApp. So feel free to connect and answer that.
Definitely. Then I'll take up the other questions that are left right now. One question is coming from Rajni Rupam, Dr. Rajni Rupam. She's asking, sir, are we eligible to give consultation on mental health websites even after MBBS, or we need MD psychiatry for that?
That again, see, again, going back to the basics. So the Indian medical graduate, if you read the MCA rules, Indian medical graduate is eligible to do literally everything. But do they do everything? Why do we have specialists? Are you able to give the best psychiatric help to a person? So what is best in the interest of the patient? Please do that. So if somebody is having some deep psychiatrical issues, maybe you will not be able to do it on your own as an MBBS. You will need the help of an MD psychiatrist. But we can facilitate that movement from a primary consult, because going directly to a psychiatrist may be difficult for people. So that's where telemedicine builds the bridge between a patient and a specialist. So the answer is yes and no in a way, because if you say I'm not MD psychiatry, but I will not help you at all, that also is not done.
Right. So I believe that answered your question, Dr. Rajni. So there is one more question. What are the legal effects of inadequate management as perceived by your patient?
Recording, documentation. That's it. Make sure that you document your consult, your electronic health records must be absolutely perfect, because the patient will perceive it any way they want, right? So if your documentation is correct, you will stand good.
Thank you, doctor. So there is one more question left. How to grow practice on the already available platforms?
Most practice grows by word of mouth. Even the real thing, if you're good, people will keep coming to you. That's the old saying. Every good patient, every patient who feels good about you brings 2 more patients, and every patient who feels bad about you stops 10 more patients. So that 80-20 rule applies even in telemedicine. But definitely government, the regulations frown upon actually advertising or putting out some kind of a commercial element into it. But there are a lot of ways. So if you Google somebody, if a search engine optimizer picks up your name more than anybody else, that means patients are giving good reviews. So make sure you get good reviews done by patients. Make sure you get a good feedback from patients. And that's how it works, because on the online space, your presence is what matters. Are you there on Twitter? If you want any COVID advice, there is Dr. Fahim Yunus. He is, I mean, just another doctor, but he's the most famous COVID guy now, right? So make yourself famous on the platforms on the internet space, because that's where your patient is.
That's great. So thank you so much, doctor. So I believe we have covered already all the questions. Okay, we are getting few more questions actually. From Rajni, doctor again. Sir, is there any government platform where we can work as teleconsultant?
Government has started the NDHM, the National Digital Health Mission. Prime Minister announced it in the Independence Day last year, after which they have taken out a pilot in 6 states, union territories basically. So they registered people, patients, doctors all together. They were given IDs. Then only last week, now they said we are going to separate provider and patient ID. And a couple of days ago only, I got my provider ID. But exactly, do they have a platform and all that is not yet come out. But yes, I think in the coming days, it's going to come out. Prime Minister did make some announcements last week that they're taking it up at a very high speed. And they've actually thought of it from end to end. They were talking even about payment, UPI based health payments. which will become very important. So government is working on it. But right away is something there, I would say no on today's date.
Thank you, Doctor. Hope that answers the question. The second question is coming from Dr. Veena Verma. She's asking, many patients and other doctors send photographs of oral lesions to diagnose. Question is, can photographs sent virtually be used for diagnosis? How far is it legally binding if something goes wrong?
So this is that asynchronous form of telemedicine that we were saying, Dr. Veena. So it's called store and forward. So you take a photograph and you send. Legally binding, we don't know whose photograph they're taking. So again, if you really want to confirm, maybe you should have a video call with them, record the video call, establish the identity of the patient, make sure that this is the same person whose photograph is there in the video. And that's how you can get to the legality. But otherwise, lot of things people can create a lot of mischief online. So yes, you can use photographs for the diagnosis. We have all used it, right? So that's how lot of skin conditions we are able to treat. But to make sure, if you feel there's a legal issue, document it again. Whatever it takes to document, please document.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. So I think we will close the Q&A session for now. Any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us over the email. You have our email and you can drop any questions you have and we will take it up to Doctor, and if he's free, definitely he will answer back to it. And also if possible, you can join our community and the WhatsApp link he has shared. Okay, so I will just start with the closing statement now. So definitely it has been a great pleasure for us that you have been with us and for this whole session. And the whole session was very fruitful, I believe, for all the doctors who have been there. And I hope that everyone has learned and gathered more knowledge that how they can take up their teleconsultation career more further through this knowledge that they have gathered here. And now I would like to talk a little bit more about MedPiper, why MedPiper can and how MedPiper can help you reach out to create a better career opportunity. MedPiper basically is a community. We are providing a one-stop go-to-go solution for any digital health companies as well as healthcare professionals. So we are also working with Tata Health, Seven Sugars, Apollo 24/7 Docs app, to name a few. There are more to addition. And also we provide we provide actually the verification, the pre-screening of any doctor, because all these companies that I just named, they take a very long time to verify you, and they also face a lot of challenges in doing so. So what we do when you join our platform, that is M-Connect MedPiper community, there we help you reach out and give you the opportunity to choose what you are going forward to. What you are actually looking into for your career. Maybe it is teleconsultation, maybe it is a standalone hospital, anything that you need. It is your choice. We are also providing some tools that can be helpful for your career, and it concludes a very great resume builder, which is totally dedicated for healthcare professionals. Second is your prescription builder. There are more tools that we are coming up with. I will definitely share all the details with all of you, all the attendees who have joined the meeting, and we will provide you with better detail. Any questions, anything you have, please do reach out to us. We are basically into network management, which is focused towards healthcare professional. So I think that with that note, I will conclude the whole meeting. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us again, and it has been great pleasure.
Thank you, MedPiper, once again. Thank you, Sagarika, Vinay, and Soumya for putting this together. And thank you to all the participants for your patience. It's been a very long session. Some of you really need to go and all that. So thank you very much, and hope to interact with you sometime soon. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Have a great night.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you.